What is happening? Magnus. So, NBC has interviewed Trump. It's like his first interview after the election, I think. So let's check this out, shall we? Should be rather interesting.
Good Sunday morning. President-elect Donald Trump is the first president to win non-consecutive terms since Grover Cleveland, and we haven't heard from him extensively since his
Some people say he actually won all three, but we're not here to talk about that.
Decisive victory until now. I sat down with the president-elect at Trump Tower in New York on Friday for his first broadcast interview since winning the election. We spoke for nearly an hour and a half in a wide-ranging conversation about what these next 4 years will look like. He told me his first 100 days will focus on
drill, baby, drill.
On bringing down prices, addressing the border, and getting his cabinet picks confirmed. And I asked him what he'll do on his first day in office.
Alrighty.
I understand that on day one, you're going to be signing a flurry of executive orders. Can you give me just what are the top ones people should know about?
A lot of it will have to do with economics. A lot's going to have to do with energy. A lot's going to do with having to do with the border. We're going to immediately strengthen up the border and do a real job. And some of the basics.
I began the interview with one of the top issues for voters, the economy and the cost of living. I want to delve into one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now.
By the way, she seems nice. She doesn't seem combative, at least not yet.
Now proposing tariffs against the United States' three biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe.
Can you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. But I can say that if you look at just pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries, but in particular.
By the way, I personally do not care if I'm paying more for goods because of tariffs or whatever, as long as the bottom line for all of us is better. So if he really does find a way for us not to pay any income tax, like just say someone, I don't know, like you're saving, I don't know, $50,000 a year in income tax, okay? But you're paying a little bit more for certain goods, maybe even a lot more. However, you still, at the end of the year, are saving more money than when you were paying the quote unquote lower prices and paying income tax. It doesn't matter. You're still saving money, period. As long as he's putting more money in my pocket so that I can invest it, so that I can do things that I want to do, so I don't feel like I'm being bent over by the government when they take all that damn income tax from me, I'm great.
China, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had no inflation. In fact, when I handed it over, they didn't have inflation for a year and a half. They wanted almost 2 years, just based on what I had created. And then they created inflation with energy and with spending too much. So I think we will. I'm a big believer in tariffs. I think tariffs are the most beautiful word. I think they're beautiful. It's going to make us rich. We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. And
wouldn't it be crazy if Mexico and Canada became states or several new states? That would be crazy.
All I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field.
Sir, your previous tariffs during your first administration cost Americans some $80 billion. And now you have major companies from Walmart, Black & Decker, AutoZone saying that any tariffs are going to force them to drive up prices for their consumers. How do you make sure that these CEOs, that these companies don't in fact pass on the cost of tariffs to their consumers?
They cost Americans nothing. They made a great economy for us. They also solve another problem. If we were going to have problems having to do with wars and having to do with other things, tariffs, I have stopped wars with tariffs by saying, you guys want to fight, it's great, but both of you are going to pay tariffs to the United States at 100%. And they have many purposes, tariffs, if properly used. I don't say you use them like a madman. I say properly used. But it didn't cost this country anything. It made this country money, and we never really got the chance to go all out because we had to fight COVID in the last part. And we did it very successfully. And when I handed it over to Biden, the stock market was higher than what it was just previous to COVID coming in. It was actually higher. Tariffs are properly used, are a very powerful tool, not only economically, but also for getting other things outside of economics.
Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example. With Canada, and in particular Mexico, we have millions of people pouring into our country. You agree with that? I spoke with both. I spoke with Justin Trudeau. In fact, he flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call ended.
That scared him within an inch of his life.
It was at Mar-a-Lago, we were having dinner talking about it. I said, you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border too a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly, drugs are pouring in at levels never seen before, 10 times what we had.
Wow.
They're just pouring in.
Is that true?
We can't have open borders. And
I know sometimes he exaggerates, you know what I mean? That's why I'm asking, but 10 times is crazy.
I said to the president of Mexico and to Justin Trudeau, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%.
The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said he will not leave his post.
We got to help him out with his posture. It's bad posture, Mr. President. You got to, I know you're trying to be attentive, you know. We need you sitting up, your shoulders back. You got to put your nose in the air a little bit.
Even if you ask him to. Will you try to replace Jerome Powell?
No, I don't think so. I don't see it. But I think if I told him to, he would. But if I asked him to, he probably wouldn't. But if I told him to, he would.
You don't have plans to do that right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's talk about mass deportation, one of your big agenda items.
Her eyes are always, she's always, when she's saying stuff.
You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal histories.
Correct.
But is it your
She's
plan
got great
to
skin,
deport
though.
everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it. And it's
sure, she's wearing
it's
makeup.
a very
You can
tough
tell
thing
she's
to
got
do.
great skin.
It's, but you have to have, you have rules, regulations,
healthy.
laws. They came in illegally. The people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to be able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are in for murder.
Okay.
So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No,
That
it's within the 3-year period. It's during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol.
Stop trying to fact check Mr. Trump.
It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm saying this. We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their mental institution, no matter what country it is. Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they've ever been? They're taking their people out of those prisons by the thousands, and they're drunk. And just to get back, because I know exactly what you're getting at.
I was gonna say, so he glazed over. Let me see what he says, because he glazed over as far as everyone else going back. He may try to, and I said this before, I think they may try to work something out with everyone that's here that is not a criminal. Yes, technically you're a criminal if you came here illegally, but other than that type of thing, if they're like just setting up shop, living their lives, productive in society, they might try to work something out with them. We'll see.
Number one, we're doing criminals, and we're going to do them really rapidly. We're getting the worst gang probably with MS-13, and the Venezuelan gangs are the worst in the world. They're vicious, violent people. And you see what they've done in Colorado and other places. They're literally taking over apartment complexes and doing it with impunity. They don't care.
When I saw that Nino Brown stuff going on, I was like, the last time I saw this was New Jack City. I was like, if someone were to ask you and say, that really goes on, I'd be like, probably, but I've never heard of it before other than that movie. And then we finally saw it.
They couldn't, they just are, they're in the real estate business.
The local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's totally the case. I mean,
you don't believe the local police.
I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No,
Josh, you don't believe the local police.
They're breaking into doors. They're taking over the building.
But sir, you
and by the way,
the point.
The police are afraid to do anything.
You raised.
Which reminds me of an aunt that I have when she was younger. James Grizzly's mom. That's who she reminds me of.
The point that the logistics are complicated. You said yourself you would
need everything's
24. Yeah, you need 24 times more ICE detention capacity just to deport 1 million people per year. Not to mention more agents, more judges, more planes. Is it realistic to deport everyone who's here illegally?
You have no choice. First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
Who are the others?
Others are other people outside of criminals. We have convicted murders. We don't mean people that are even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people.
So he did say everybody then. So moving from the criminals to the people that weren't quote unquote criminals. So we'll see what they do.
Are on our streets and in our farms, and we have to get them out of our country.
What about dreamers, sir? Dreamers who were brought to this country illegally as children. You said once back in 2017, they, quote, shouldn't be very worried about being deported. Should they be worried now?
The dreamers are going to come later, and we have to do something about the dreamers, because these are people that have been brought here at a very young age, and many of these are middle-aged people now. They don't even speak the language of their country, and yes, we're going to do something about the dreamers.
What does that mean?
And
what are you going to do?
I will work with the Democrats on a plan, and we can come up with a plan. But the Democrats have made it very, very difficult to do anything. Republicans are very open to the dreamers. The dreamers, we're talking many years ago, they were brought into this country. Many years ago. Some of them are no longer young people. And in many cases, they become successful. They have great jobs. In some cases, they have small businesses. Some cases, they might have large businesses. And we're going to have to do something with them. And
you want them to be able to stay. That's what you're saying.
I do. I want to be able to work something out. And it should have been able to.
See, I told you. I said they're probably going to try to work something out with the people that, are productive in society. Especially, like I said, my boy in the gym had sent me a clip of something where they had tried to get rid of a bunch of illegals, and it kind of was starting to collapse part of the economy in Florida or something, or the business in Florida where orange picking. Like, they didn't have nobody pick the oranges, and nobody here wanted to pick the oranges. You get what I'm saying? So something like that.
Being worked out over the last 3 or 4 years, and it never got worked out. Biden could have done it because he controlled, Congress to a certain extent, right? He could have done something, but they didn't do it. I never understood why, because they always seem to want to do it, but then when it comes down to it, they don't. I think we can work with the Democrats and work something out.
Let me ask you about another group of people, the estimated 4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are.
You're talking about separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your borders are, Tom Homan said, they can be deported together. Correct. Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep well, I don't want to be breaking up families, so the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work.
Trying to pull the heartstrings, the sympathy thing, try to make him look like a bad guy if you're deporting children.
I'll tell you what's going to be horrible.
Keep the family together.
A wonderful young woman who's with a criminal, and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job, and you have to have a series of standards and a series of laws, and in the end, look, our country is a mess.
Let me ask you.
It's kind of funny, too, because they'll call him a criminal all day long. But then if you want to deport people that are here illegally, and technically they're criminals, all of a sudden, now the Republicans are the bad guys and Trump is the bad guy. So I can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying?
About some of your other promises on this topic. You've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it.
I didn't know
Do
that.
you know, if somebody sets just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it.
Let's talk about health care. I've been talking to Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill. They say it's no longer feasible to repeal and replace Obamacare because it's so entrenched in the system. Do you see it that way? Is that now off the table, repealing and replacing?
When John McCain let us down by voting, and Murkowski and Collins and whoever it was that voted against, but they really let us down. They did us a great disservice because we would have had great health. Obamacare is lousy health care. It's very expensive health care for the people. It's also expensive for the country, but for the people, it's lousy health care. When John McCain gave his thumbs down after saying for 10 years that he wants to repeal and replace, okay? And then he came out, put his now famous thumbs down, and he became a hero to the left. Let me tell you, if we find...
A lot of people didn't care about the damn health care when they started making us pay for it, right? And I remember an accountant telling me, because I never go to the hospital for anything. So I was just like, no, you had a choice to get it or not get it. And if you didn't get it, you would get fined a certain amount of money, right? But then what they started doing is you still got fined if you didn't get it. But the fine would be cheaper than paying for the insurance all year. So what they started doing was, that was a flat rate. They started then fining you a percentage of your income. So if you had really high income or pretty good income, all of a sudden, now you have to get the health insurance so that you don't pay more. You don't pay that huge percentage of your income. There's a way to pigeonhole you into something, man, that you don't want.
Something better, I would love to do it. But unless we find... But one thing I have to say, I inherited Obamacare, or anything else you want to go. It's got about 20 names, but I inherited it. And I had a decision to make with Health and Human Services. I had a big decision to make. Do I make it as good as we can make it, or do I let it rot? And a lot of political people said, let it rot and let it be a failure. I said, that's not the right thing to do. And I had very good people in the medical area that handled that. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, we really have an obligation to make it as good as we can. And we did. We made it as good as we can make it. Instead of making it bad where everybody would be calling for its repeal, I made it so that it works. Now,
but you did try to overturn it,
it's
sir.
It's
you did
lousy.
try to overturn it. You
No,
did
no.
have your Justice Department try to direct the Supreme Court to.
No, we got a little bit of a surprising opinion, to be honest.
I stay wise. I'm gonna start calling her Wiley. She's just like all the time, Wiley.
Honest with you,
Ms. Wiley.
If it would have been overturned, we would have had much better health care right now. But right now, we have something that I made the best of. I could have made the worst of it, and it would have fallen by the wayside. I did the right thing from a human standpoint, but I'm sort of proud of my decision. At the same time, sometimes I regret it. I told the people, and I gave them the money to do it. I said, fix it, make it work, because people would have suffered. But it's too bad that they voted no. I wish John McCain, he fought for 10 years on replacing Obamacare for 10 years, and then he voted against. Nobody understands it.
Sir, you said during the campaign you had concepts of a plan. Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking.
And they keep asking that question. I personally don't care if he has a plan yet. As long as he's working on it and eventually has one that he can implement, I'm fine with it. Some people be like, oh, you ain't even got a plan yet. So we're working on it. And like a lot of things start, they have an inception, the concept and inception, you're working on it, you get it together. I'm not even concerned about that as long as they get it right.
Because Obamacare stinks. It's lousy. There are better answers. If we come up with a better answer.
Did you just say, my plan stinks? Hold on now. Obamacare does not stink. I'll tell you what stinks, Orange Man.
Answer. I would present that answer to Democrats and to everybody else, and I do something about it. But until we have that, or until they can approve it, but we're not going to go through the big deal. I am the one that saved Obamacare. I will say, and I did the right thing. I could have done the more political thing and killed it, and all I had to do was starve it to death.
You did try to have your Justice Department effectively kill it, though.
No.
Sir.
Kill it from a legal standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, I made it work.
In your concepts of a plan, sir, will people with pre-existing conditions still have coverage, and can you guarantee their prices will not go up?
The answer is yes. They'll have coverage. You have to have it.
And what about their prices?
Because you know what?
What about their prices, sir?
I want the prices to go down. I want to have better health care for less money. And there are ways of doing it, I believe.
Let's talk about abortion, sir. You have taken responsibility.
Here we go. Oh, my God.
For overturning Roe v. Wade. You've said that abortion is now a state issue. There are steps that you could take, though, as president to restrict abortion through executive action without Congress. More than half of abortions in this country are medication abortions. Will you restrict the availability of abortion pills when you're in office?
I'll probably stay with exactly what I've been saying for the last 2 years, and the answer is no.
You commit to that?
Well, I commit. I mean, do things change? I think they change. I hate to go on shows like Joe Biden. I'm not going to give my son a pardon. I will not, under any circumstances, give him a pardon. I watched this, and I always knew he was going to give him a pardon, and so I don't like putting myself in a position like that. So things do change, but I don't think it's going to change at all.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Save more lives. Save more lives. Give more children a chance. Make more people take responsibility for bringing new life onto this planet. Help people understand that life has value. Human life has value, and you shouldn't just throw it away like a bad decision. You know what I'm saying?
And when we come back, will President-elect Trump direct his FBI director and Pete Hegseth Kash Patel to be the next FBI director. He has a list in his book of 60 people that he calls members of the so-called deep state. It includes Democrats like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. It includes former members of your cabinet, from Bill Barr to Christopher Wray. You campaigned on
Bill Burr.
destroying the
Just
deep
kidding.
state. Do you want Kash Patel to launch investigations into people on that list?
No, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is right.
Do you
And I
think
will-
that's
I will
right?
tell you-
Do you think that's right, sir?
If they think that somebody was dishonest or crooked or a corrupt politician, I think he probably has an obligation to do it. But
Are you going to direct him to do
no,
it?
not at all. Not at all. We have two great people there. We have him and we have Pam. And Pam Bondi has been like a rocket ship. She's very popular and very good and very fair. And Cash.
That's funny. I'm noticing about him. He doesn't emote very much when he speaks, but his lips move. His lips emote more than he. So he talks. He says certain things in certain ways. Like you can actually move your mouth, your lips less pronouncedly when you move, but that's why people. That's why people do that sometimes when they they poke their lips out whenever it impresses him. It's like the whole face will be straight. Sometimes his eyes do stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just noticing stuff.
Patel is very fair. I'll tell you, I thought Cash may be difficult because he's, a strong conservative voice. And I don't know of anybody that's not singing his praises. The other day I was watching, and Trey Gowdy, who's a moderate person and very smart and very respected in the party, he's Cash's biggest fan. He said, this is the most misunderstood man in politics. He's great. I guess they worked together on the Russia hoax or something. And Trey Gowdy became a fan. Trey Gowdy. Everybody respects him. And, just like him, others also. I don't know of one negative vote. I don't think he's going to have any negative votes.
Is it your expectation, though, that Kash Patel will pursue investigations against your political enemies?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want to see that happen?
If they were crooked, if they did something wrong, if they have broken the law, probably they went after me. They went after me and I did nothing wrong.
Well,
Yep.
Let me ask you this. You said President Biden, quote, that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. You said that
Where
during
did I say that?
the campaign.
Where?
You said that on Truth Social, June 12th, 2023. I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States, Joe Biden, and the entire
Well,
Biden
that part is
crime
true.
family. Are you going to do that? Are you going to go after Joe Biden?
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success. If we can make this country successful, that would be that would be such a great achievement. Bring it back. We have a country now that's overridden with crime. That
He
has
can't at this point say that he's going to go after Joe Biden. They went after him viciously. Very nasty. They were very nasty with him and how they went after him. So, I guess what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if he does, then I personally, as an American, don't care because it's tit for tat. It's what they've been doing, and they're trying to mess up him coming into the presidency, escalating wars and all this other crap they're doing. I personally don't care.
millions of people that shouldn't be here, that should be in prisons in other countries, that should be in mental institutions. We have drug lords being dropped into our country and told never go back to their country. I'm looking to make our country great. I'm looking to bring prices down.
You know how I would answer to it? I'd be like, we're going to address Joe Biden in every situation he's involved with. And then if we have to, then we'll take the proper legal action.
Because, I won on two things, the border and more than immigration. They like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border and I won on groceries.
Imagine if Homan was president. That dude holds back less than him. He'd just be like, yeah. She'd be like, yeah, you said you were going to go after Joe Biden. When did I say that? No, Homan would have been like, I did say that, and I am. That's what Homan would have said.
It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word. the groceries, when you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
I want to pause here because what you're saying is significant. Because you wrote on Truth Social in 2023 that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden.
Right,
now you're saying you're not going to do that.
I will say this. No, I'm not doing that unless I find something that I think is reasonable. But that's not going to be my decision. That's going to be Pam Bondi's decision, and to a different extent, Kash Patel, assuming they're both there. And I think they're both going to get approved. But while you ask me that, what they've done to me with weaponization is a disgrace.
We'll get to some of that.
No, wait. You can't do one without the other.
That's right.
In the history of our country, nothing.
That's called standing somebody up. I had a manager used to tell me that, and I used to sell cars. Some people come in to buy cars with horrendous credit, but they're talking to you like you better give it to them for this price and for this interest rate and all this. It's like, you gotta stand these people up. You gotta let them know. He's talk like this. He's like, Tyrone, you gotta stand these people up, bro. You gotta tell them you're lucky to get a loan. All right, so I'll do what I can for you. So he's standing her up. It's like, wait a minute now. Don't talk about that without talking about what they did to me. Acknowledge what they did to me, which has never been done to a president. So don't, you know what I mean?
Nothing like this has ever happened. And I've won.
Definitely tell this interview skewed.
In these cases, I've won every one, and the rest are in the process of being won. Deranged Jack Smith is on his way back to The Hague, where he can execute people.
Yeah, people are always saying, "Oh, he's a felon. He's a convicted felon." To me, they're all a little dirty. Or they're a little dirty or a lot of dirty. They're all either convicted felons or unconvicted felons. All right? So I don't care. As long as the right felon is running the country and making things better and making things great again. I don't care. I do not care. People like to bring in little stuff like that. It's like, well, if you're going to call him a convicted felon, then you got to talk about everything that's going on with the Biden and his family too then. How about that? But they don't want to do that. They don't want to mix and match and bring both to the forefront like that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny to me. And I told you, it was one of the reasons why I never truly get really deep into politics. I have fun with these videos. I make the videos I know you guys want or the ones you request. But to me, it's political theater. It's almost not even real. So I believe some of it is and some of it isn't. But some of the stuff, I'm like, I know these people are intelligent. There's no way you would say this about this guy and then just totally refuse to acknowledge this about that guy. It's like you're being paid to support this guy or this side, and you're being paid to support this side. That's why I tell you, man, if I went into politics, I'd be the most bare bones, open book. Like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Or no, I'm not. You wouldn't even see a little bit of tap dancing around questions. No word salad, nothing. I'd be the same way I am on my channel.
This is where he should have stayed. I think he's dangerous even being there. But I'll tell you what they've done to me in terms of weaponization, indictments, impeachments, and everything else. Mm-hmm. And in the end, it probably helped me because I got the biggest vote, the most votes any Republicans ever got.
People were like, yo, they're going after him so bad, something's up. That's what it is. Like when I told y'all, when I was watching the Young Turks, I was watching Chanky would be going off about Trump. He's a maniac. I was like, come on. I was like, you know what? I've watched y'all off and on for years, and I don't know. It was just, once I started watching them a lot, I was like, yo, this is too much. I'm like, you're making me think you're crazy. The way you're flipping out so much about him, you're making me think that on top of all this other stuff, you going off like this, just some of the chicks on The View, some of the crazy stuff they would be saying, especially that one chick, it's Whoopi, was it Joy, is it? There's her, right? And then there's the new white chick, right? Because I don't watch The View, but I see clips from time. That one, she says some nasty stuff, man. I've seen them all say stuff that's crooked, but that one, I don't know how people can be that venomous. You know what I'm saying? It's so much of a slant of how you speak about one guy versus the other that I'm like, all right, you're clearly paid, and I'm not listening to this shill stuff.
In history.
Pam Bondi talks about investigating the investigators. Do you want her to investigate Jack Smith?
I want her to do what she wants to do.
Do you want to see Jack Smith investigated?
Well, I think he's very corrupt, but I want her to do whatever she has to do.
Are you going to direct her to prosecute Jack
She's
Smith?
a very smart person. She was a great attorney general in Florida. She's very experienced. I want her to do what she wants to do. I'm not going to instruct her to do it now.
Sir, are you going to fire the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago. I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high. Migrants are pouring into the country that are...
Funny how you have to dress up the question. I mean, the answer. I'd be like, yes. Did you see what he did to my home? He invaded my home. He did A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And I am now going to do 1, 2, 3.
From prisons and from mental institutions.
Everybody with hair on their chest and big Adam apple and deep throat, not deep throats. deep voices and heavy hands and drinking beer and whiskey and driving sports cars and trucks and work out every day and mixed martial arts and boxers and soldiers. Everybody be voting for me.
We've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about that.
I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I certainly cannot be happy with him. You take a look at what's happened. And then when I was shot...
I'm definitely not happy. And once I'm in office, I will assess the situation. And if need be, yes, he will be fired.
In the ear, he said, oh, maybe it was shrapnel. Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it coming from heaven? I don't think so. So we need somebody to straighten... I have a lot of respect for the FBI.
You know what I thought was mad dirty? When he got shot, there were certain newspapers, I can't remember which one it was, where they were like, Trump fell at a rally today. That was the headline, that he fell. How crooked and sinister is that? I mean, disingenuous, just everything. Boldface lie. Yeah. He got down. I don't think he fell. He got down after his ear was shot.
But the FBI's respect has gone way down over the last number of years.
Don't you have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel if he is in fact confirmed?
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? And somebody is the man that you're talking about.
I asked you last time we sat down for an interview if you were going to pardon yourself. You said no. But now that President Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter, are you reconsidering? Might you pardon yourself?
I didn't do anything wrong. I was given the option. And the lawyers told me, a very specific lawyer, I don't have to go into who, but...
If he pardons himself, I don't care.
Very high up in the administration said, sir, if you pardon yourself, you're going to look guilty. And you did nothing wrong. Oh, I had that option. I could have saved myself a lot of legal fees. But it turned out that I was right. Look at what's going on. Everything's being dropped. I still have a Fonnie Willis, a total hoax. That's a total hoax. It's all being dropped.
I also asked the president-elect about NBC News' reporting that President Biden is considering preemptive pardons for some of the people who have clashed with Mr. Trump, including Senator-elect Adam Schiff, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and former Congresswoman Liz Cheney. As part of his response, Mr. Trump lashed out at the January 6th committee, accusing it of unfairly targeting him and even of destroying its records, which the committee denies.
And Cheney was behind it, and so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think?
I think everybody anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
No, not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
And I asked the president-elect if he plans to follow through on his campaign promise to pardon those who attacked the Capitol on January 6th, including the more than 900 people who pleaded guilty to crimes.
I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases,
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days.
My whole thing, if I was him, I wouldn't pardon anybody that was violent about anything. But if there was anyone that was just taking a tour and got arrested and sent to prison, of course they're going to get pardoned. Anybody that didn't do anything, and if you peacefully protested, if you were just on a damn tour somewhere and you still got arrested, well, all of those are going to be pardoned. If you didn't commit a crime, you're going to be pardoned. But if you did commit a crime, well, then there's an issue there.
First day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been there. How long is it? 3 or 4 years?
Okay.
You know, by the way, they've been in there for years, and they're in a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open.
And when we come back, President...
What's that? What's the filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't be allowed to be open? What is that?
Elect Trump's message to the people who didn't vote for him. The Syrian government fell to foreign into office.
Yeah, probably. Sure.
You said you can end the war in 24 hours. You've even said you want to try to end it before you're sworn into office.
I'm trying to end it.
You're after the more than 50.
Sound almost like
Welcome back. The Syrian government fell overnight, a stunning end to the more than 50-year rule of the Assad family as rebels claimed Damascus. I pressed the president-elect on a range of foreign policy issues, including U.S. support for Ukraine and NATO in his second administration. Should Ukraine prepare for less aid from the United States after you're sworn into office?
Yeah, probably. Sure.
You said you can end the war in 24 hours. You've even said you want to try to end it before you're sworn into office. You're actively trying to?
I am.
Have you talked to President Putin?
No, I have not.
You haven't talked to President Putin since you've been elected?
No. Well, I don't want to say that, but I haven't spoken to him recently.
So you've spoken to President Putin since you've been elected?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anything about that because I don't want to do anything that could impede the negotiation.
But you
I want to
have
stop.
talked about
let me tell you what I have talked about. Let me
tell you.
There are people being killed in that war at levels that nobody's ever seen before. You have to go back to the Second World War, and even that, if you take a look at, and you know what it is? It's the soldiers largely. The cities have been emptied out and demolished. The country has been demolished. If I won that election, which you know how I feel about it, I won't get into it because we don't need to start that argument. I think it's an easy argument. It was really proven even more conclusively by the win that I had on this one. But you did that, sir. Well, that's your opinion, but I disagree with it. An easy argument. It was really proven even more conclusively by the win that I had on this one. But you did that, sir. Well, that's your opinion, but I disagree with it. I assumed, kept control. Number one, Israel wouldn't have happened. Number two, Ukraine would have never happened. It would have never happened, Ukraine, Russia. But the number of people that are being killed, soldiers, young, beautiful soldiers, hundreds of thousands of people are being killed. And you know, it's very interesting. It's level, totally level. The battlefields, totally level. You know what's happening? The only thing that stops a bullet, you know what it is a body, a human body. And the people that are being killed, hundreds of thousands on both sides. Russia's lost probably 500,000. Ukraine's lost higher than they say, probably 400,000. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of bodies laying all over fields. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and it should have never been allowed to happen. Biden should have been able to stop it.
Sir, will the United States stay in NATO while you're in office?
In where?
NATO. Do you commit that the United States will remain a member of NATO while you're in office?
Again, they have to pay their bills. If they pay their bills, absolutely.
But not if they don't pay their bills.
But NATO's taken advantage of us because we were look, two things. Number one, they take advantage of us on trade, meaning the European nations, okay, like terrible. They don't take our cars, they don't take our food product, they don't take anything. They take it.
But you definitely need to get our food right before you can expect them to take that. But okay.
It's a disgrace. And on top of that, we defend them. So it's a double whammy. So let me just tell you, I was able to get hundreds of billions of dollars put into NATO just by a tough attitude. I said to the countries, I'm not going to protect you unless you pay. And they started paying. And that amounted to more than $600 billion. It's a big thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be fighting. They wouldn't have any money to fight. If they're paying their bills, and if I think they're doing they're treating us fairly, the answer is absolutely, I'd stay with NATO.
But if not, you would consider the possibility of
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
The president-elect is tasking Elon Musk, the billionaire CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, to try to cut government spending along with one of Mr. Trump's former primary rivals, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy. All of it putting a spotlight on what it could mean for entitlements and defense spending. You've tapped Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, to head up this Department of Government Efficiency,
Correct.
which proposes cuts to the federal government. I think a lot of people hear that and they get concerned about Medicare and Social Security and
Not going to have
Medicaid
anything to do.
and
We're talking
defense
about-
spending.
We're talking
You
about
won't touch
theft,
Medicare, Social Security.
abuse, fraud.
Okay.
No, I said to people, we're not touching Social Security, other than we make it more efficient, but the people are going to get what they're getting.
Okay, so the entitlements
And
off
we're not
the table.
we're not raising ages or any of that stuff.
Okay, off the
I
table.
won't do it.
And finally, I asked the president-elect about this extraordinary moment in time. He is taking office against the backdrop of a country that is so sharply divided, and when he has yet to concede the 2020 election, which he lost. Because you've talked about it, it comes at a time when the country is deeply divided, and now you're going to be leading this country
Which
for the next
he
4
lost.
years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020
That won't unify the country. Don't even try that.
election and turn the page on that chapter?
No.
I wouldn't.
That's my boy right there. That's right, cuz. Yo, he stood 10 toes down on that. No. I gotta admire the man's conviction. If he didn't believe he lost, then he shouldn't say that he lost. But, you know, it is what it is.
To do that. But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not
It's a
the
good point, sir.
So
It's a
when
good
you say
point.
it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president, I'm not.
Mhm.
And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him? I think definitely is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me, he went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they're going around stealing elections, why
When you
didn't
say
they do it
Democrats
this
have
time?
control now,
Of the White House.
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power
Because they
now.
couldn't.
because I think it was too big to rig.
Yep.
So you
She got
Too big to
quiet.
rig.
to the people who say that you're now directing your Justice Department to investigate 2020
No,
and they want to move
I have
on.
very capable. I
Is that
think
a
Pam
good
is going to
use
be
of
great.
precious resources?
By the way,
Is that what you
just
want
so
them
know,
to do?
Just so you know, I have the right to do that, but I'm not interested in that.
Oh, you're not. You're not going to do that.
I'm not interested. I have
Okay.
the absolute right. I'm the chief law enforcement officer. You do know that. I'm the president. But I'm not interested in that. You know what I'm interested in? Drilling and getting prices down and stopping people from pouring into our border that come from prisons and mental institutions.
One of the things that made this campaign unprecedented and extraordinary were the horrific attempts against your life. 2 assassination attempts. Do you feel safe going into the White House
I do.
for the next 4 years? Why?
I have confidence in Secret Service. I know the people. I got to know a lot of them, and I have confidence. It was a bad moment.
Probably move some chess pieces around too.
Something shouldn't have happened, but I have a lot of confidence, and they've really stepped it up. They were restricted from giving the look. I do a rally, and you were at many of them, and I'd have 50,000 people. Joe would have a rally, and he'd have 30 people. And he had more Secret Service than me. My Secret Service was always asking for more manpower / women power. They were asking for more and more and more, and they couldn't get it. I'm not blaming them really, because they were always fighting for more.
Said / woman power. Yeah, because a lot of people have problems with that. But it is what it is. I feel that only the exceptional best of the best of Secret Service should, protect the president. Period. Point blank. So you know what to do with that info.
People, and they wouldn't get. Now, boy, do we have it.
I want to ask you, sir, one final question. What do you want to say to Americans who didn't support you in this campaign?
I'm going to treat you every bit as well as I have treated the greatest MAGA supporters. There's never been anything like MAGA in the history of this country. These people are so dedicated to making America great again. It's very simple. And I'm going to treat them just the same as I treat MAGA. We're going to treat everybody good. We want success for our country. We want safety for our country. Our country's under threat, as you know. We have a tremendous threat militarily because of the power of weapons and weaponry. It's a tremendous threat. Nobody talks about it, but it's a tremendous threat. I want to treat everybody the same. I want to treat them well. And at the end of this 4 years, I have a big head start because I was there for 4 years fairly recently. A lot of bad things were done during the 4 years that I wasn't there. And mostly in what they've done in terms of our reputation overseas. Our reputation is so bad, so shot. I got to bring it back.
What's happening to our women and our children and just, oh Lord, everything.
Back. And I also have to bring back civilization to our country. Our country is a crime pot, and we have to get rid of crime. We have so many things to do. We have to do the prices. We have to do all of that. But we have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to bring down crime. People have to be able to walk across the street and buy a loaf of bread without being shot. And that's going to happen. But what I say to them is, I love you, and we're going to all work together, and we're going to bring it together. And you know what's going to bring it together? Success. I saw that just prior to COVID coming in, I had polls that were the highest anyone. McLaughlin and Fabrizio said, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, if they came back from the dead and they ran as president and vice president, couldn't beat you, sir. We were doing so well, and I was getting along.
I don't know about that, but
with the left. Let's call it the left. We'll be nice. Okay, we're just going to call it. But I was getting along with people that you would consider liberal or progressive, as they like to say, at levels that I never thought was possible. And you know what it was? Success. Success was bringing the country together, and that's what I want to do.
And when we come back, President-elect Trump gives us a preview of his inaugural address. Asked Mr. Trump about what he will say in that inaugural address and whether he will release his medical records. Let me ask you, sir, as you think about your inauguration, I remember your first inauguration.
Why do they care about his medical records so much? Is this like a Joe Biden thing with Joe Biden not being, but you can tell he's still got his faculties. So, if people aren't questioning his faculties, there might be people doing it just because of the whole Biden thing, but that, to me, that doesn't count. It's not even valid. It's like, you're just doing it because we know that Biden is slipping. Like, don't even.
Inaugural address, you talked about American carnage. Have you thought about your message for your second inaugural address?
I have.
Can you give us a preview?
We're going to have a message that will make you happy, unity. It's going to be a message of unity. And again, I think success brings unity. And I've experienced that. I've experienced it in my first term, as I said. We're going to be talking about unity. We're going to be talking about success, making our country safe, keeping people that shouldn't be in our country out. We have to do that. I know it doesn't sound nice, but we have to do that. But basically, it's going to be about bringing our country together.
Sir, when you think about your time in office, you are making history for a range of reasons, including the fact you will be the oldest person to be sworn into office. Do you commit to releasing your medical records?
Sure, I do it all the time.
Cool.
I think I've released 4 of them.
Not just a letter, though, your full medical report.
Yeah, I would, and I think anybody should, but I mean, according to all the reports, I don't want to, where's wood? Is there some wood where I can knock on wood? But my reports are very good, very strong.
So you plan to release
Sure,
them?
I have no problem with it.
And you can watch our full interview with President-elect Donald Trump at NBCNews.com.
Thought I did. Anyway. Okay, cool. Well, post the comments down below. Let me know what you all think. I'm sure you all have plenty of things to say. 10 million subscribers. Woo! Yeah, baby. Get on in office, Trump. Do something. Can't wait to see what you do, bruh.